Welcome. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. And we're so delighted that you've welcomed us into your home. Today, we're taking questions from you, our viewing audience. So if you're at home and maybe you have some coffee and you're doing some chores around the house, and you're watching us, you know it's live, we want you to give us a jingle at 1-800-221-9460. If you're calling and you're outside North America, you can reach us at area code 205-271-2980, and you can always send us an email with a question or a comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com, or reach us on Twitter, twitter.com/Jim and Joy Pinto. And so
I want to say something.
Yes, go ahead.
We're so busy, you know. We go from one thing to. You look very pretty today. I like that top.
Hey, thanks.
We haven't been together like all. We just got together after the whole day. And you really look great.
Hey, you're so kind. We do work together. We see each other, but you know how you kind of like fly. Anyway, the question for today's show is: what is the connection between faith, food, and family? And I would like to say fun. Fun is the connection between faith, food, and family. And we're always eating. You have to eat. We have to sustain our faith life, and hopefully we're sustaining ourselves within our families too. So we got wonderful responses.
We want to share that over the weekend we went back north because we lived out here in Birmingham. And we had like a family reunion. It was kind of based on celebrating somebody's birthday up north. So my family, my mother's side of the family is from Brooklyn.
Yes.
And some of them are spread out in different places. And where this happened was in Bronxville, New York. So it was my cousin's birthday. And we went up there, and it was a great party on Saturday. But it wound up ending at about 1:30 in the morning.
Yes.
And then we had a flight out of LaGuardia Airport at 6, so we never went to sleep.
We pulled an all-nighter. We did.
Yeah.
And we're good.
It's amazing.
We don't remember flying.
What is your name again? Okay. Yeah.
It was
Okay. So, but it was a great time, and it was my cousin Patricia's party.
Yes.
And
She deserved a party.
First of all, let me say that my mother's, who passed away in 1960 when I was 5 years old, there were 8 daughters in the family and 2 brothers, okay? So 10 in that family over in Brooklyn. Only 1 is surviving now. And so this was a get-together of their children and their children's children.
Right,
And not
so
everybody.
it was mostly your first cousins.
Yeah, and then there were second cousins.
Yeah.
So it was 83 there to celebrate Patricia's birthday. Now Patricia, I'm saying, if you don't want to know about my family, you want to change the show. But my cousin Patricia, when her dad passed away, our family took her in for a time.
Yeah.
And I was very young at that time, and she really hit it off with my mother. Same personalities, like you, very outgoing, celebratory, dramatic at times. And she really loved my mother. Then she went back with her family, and then my mother got ill.
Right.
And she passed away at age 42 years old. And Patricia, at age 17, came back to help take care of me and my sister. We had 4 in our family, but 2 were out. She came back. Imagine being reared for a time by a 17-year-old. I don't know how this happened, how she was out of school.
Well, she was making it fun.
And she's absolutely beautiful, fun. Every day would be like wild. I think I charged my friends just to see her. I said, there's an Indian living with me. Come and see. And it was just great. So we celebrated her birthday, and all these people were there. Unbelievable food.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable time. Incredible faith. Some people of strong faith. Other people waning in faith.
Yes.
Hurting. You know, so much death in our family, and we've had a lot of deaths lately. And so this was an assembly for life. And we surprised her with a birthday party, and it was just absolutely a tremendous time of faith, food, and family.
Well, it was totally New York. I mean, totally New York. And it was totally Italian. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm not Italian. Although I think I'm Italian, but I'm not Italian. I'm German, I'm Irish. I'm just married to Italian. I birthed 4 part Italian, so it kind of like makes me Italian. I love this Italian family. They are so much fun.
They love you. And you know, all the in-laws, well, you know, you're talking about years, people who've lost the blood kin of our family, but they're married 55, 60 years.
Yes.
And they came, you know? And the love between the widows and the widowers, and then the young people, you know, kind of come. It was really a touch of heaven. It was an intersection.
Yes.
An intersection between heaven and earth. And, you know, food does that. Food can intersect you, especially the manna from heaven. Especially Jesus, the eternal manna from heaven, that if you eat my body and you drink my blood, It will be food indeed, drink indeed. You'll never hunger again. You'll never be thirsty again. Your people ate manna in the wilderness, but they're all dead. Eat me and live forever. We want to hear from you about faith, food, family. Do you get the connection? What does the Bible say about all this? The sacraments say about all this? How are we united together on earth and in heaven? So there's plenty more to come. We want to hear from you. Give us a call. Give us an email. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Well, today we're taking your questions during our show, so give us a jingle at 1-800-221-9460. If you're calling and you're outside North America, you can reach us at area code 205-271-2980, and you can always send us an email, jimandjoy@ewtn.com, or reach us on Twitter, twitter.com/Jim and Joy Pinto. And the question for today's show is, what is the connection between faith, food, and family? We want you to give us a jingle, 1-800-221-9460.
And there's no other guests but you and your family.
Yes.
So we're expecting an email. We're expecting a phone call. Faith, food, family. What's your experience? What's your connection? As you look at the scriptures, do you see them, the sacraments, or just what's going on in your own home? What does food and faith and family mean for you and for your loved ones?
Well, I like to share, as a child growing up, my mom had 8 kids. And so she didn't put a lot of, we didn't have fancy meals. They were staple meals. And I'm telling you, no matter where I was in my life outside, at 4 o'clock, my mother would be in the house peeling potatoes, because whatever we were having, we were going to have mashed potatoes with
because
that
she
meal.
was Irish.
And because she was Irish. And my father liked, my dad was a real hard worker, construction guy, and he was a meat and potato guy. And so every day, I'm telling you, this woman was peeling potatoes, and she would make a 5-pound bag of potatoes to go with whatever she made. And so we had potatoes and a meat and a vegetable. But for all my living life, 18 years when I was her daughter growing up there, supper was on the table at 5 o'clock, like no matter what was happening. Because my father came home from work, and whether you were in sports or whatever you were doing, if you wanted to eat, you needed to show up and have that meal with her. And what did that do? What did that do for me as a human being? Faith, I didn't grow up in such a very strong faith-filled house, but I grew up in a house full of food, and I grew up in a house full of family.
Yeah.
And faith came into my life later on. And so it was so important, because you think it's nothing, but the importance of a meal and how a generation, how we've lost that, where we don't even eat together. Families don't even eat together. And then we have fast foods, and and so we're grabbing a meal here and grabbing a meal, and it's a breakdown. It's a breakdown in our family.
Your sharing speaks to me of security, regularity, seeing everyone's faith at some point. And you're right, your family wasn't overly religious. I don't even know if they prayed, in the meal.
We never prayed at a meal.
But just add prayer at a meal.
Right.
And regularity to the meal, and people being together and sharing over the meal. The church and our nation would be transformed.
Yes.
If you just do that with some degree of regularity. Even if it's not every day of the week that you're having 3 meals together a day, maybe 1 meal, maybe 2 or 3 meals together as a family per week. People have busy schedules, everything's going on. But the profundity of that, especially with prayer at that meal time, and what that means to our children, a time of sharing and reflection, and you want everybody there. And we'll speak more about that, but let's take this email.
It says, we make it a point to have the whole family sit down to dinner every Sunday. No excuses. There's no cell phones, no TVs, or the outside distractions. And the whole event is a family affair as everyone helps with the cooking and cleanup. I believe our children have a much closer relationship with my husband and me and with their siblings because of it. And it gives time for family to be together and to forge stronger bonds. And
Praise
this is
the
from
Lord.
Rosa
Wow.
from St. Louis, which is true. And like you said, what it does for the family. So maybe you're out of sync with your brother or your sister, or they're getting on your nerves or whatever, and you're at a family dinner and you need to be nice because your mother made this beautiful meal, and even if it's not a beautiful meal, your mother made it, and you needed to be respectful and sit down and be with your brothers and sisters. And really, as we grow older, all you want is peace with your children.
Yep.
That's all you want. Yep. All you want is your kids to get along, and you want peace at the table.
That's what, everybody, when it was my birthday and all the kids were at home, we had 4 children, and now they're all out and married. But they would say, well, Dad, what do you want for your birthday, and what can we get you, and this and that? I said, you know what I want? I'm going to give you my favorite meal. Your mom's, the best cook around. We're going to do that, and I want peace at the table.
Right.
I want everybody to get along. If you're not getting along, I don't want to know about it. Anyway, it's just, I want peace at the table.
Yes.
And that connects with faith.
Yes.
Okay. So that's what I want as a guy. I just want my children to get along. And that's what the Eucharist is about. Mm-hmm. That the whole body, the whole community of Christ gathers together. And how Jesus wants peace. How it must hurt his heart, the divisions of the church, within the Catholic Church, and then all the Protestant denominations, the Orthodox, and we're all split up. Mm-hmm. It's like, the Trinity must be talking, like, can't we have a meal with peace? Can't all my children come together? Can't we all be one? I pray that they be one. I give my life that they be one. That's the connection with faith, and we're the same way.
Right.
And we have children that are rebellious or hurting or confused or whatever, and they've separated from the family. Come home. And the food is about that, in the physical way and in the spiritual way. And in the spiritual way, of course, Jesus develops a community. It's not just me and you going to have a meal together.
Right.
It's like, you're my apostles, and I'm going to lay this out. This is my body. He blesses, this is my body. This is my blood. The wine, he turns the wine into blood, right? He went water to wine to blood. Mm-hmm. Do this. Remember me. Mm-hmm. And even one there was planning to turn him over, was a betrayer. Still he had the meal. Yes. Still he washed feet. And all this is the interplay. We want to hear from you, so give us an email or call us. What is the connection? What is the interplay? Are you thinking about it? Are you looking at the scriptures in that way? And that's what's so blessed about, I think, the Catholic faith, is that it's not only about that very important matter of receiving Jesus as your Savior and Lord and being converted. That's just, we all need that. Right. Catholics need to understand that. Mm-hmm. We need ongoing personal conversion. But it's about a family. Right. It's about a meal. It's about the Holy Eucharist. And it's not just about me feeding on Jesus spiritually. It's about us really coming together and feasting on his body, blood, soul, and divinity, and not outraging his heart by being out of sync as far as it's in our power with one another, in our families, or with our friends, or with our Protestant brothers and sisters. We want to be at peace with everyone, or we can't eat this meal properly.
When we were in New York this weekend, a part of the gathering was when we sang Happy Birthday to Patricia, and this table in the dining room was a display of desserts that was just like totally off the chain. It was a plethora of desserts, cakes and cupcakes and just unbelievable desserts, unbelievable. The beautiful things that everyone gathered around the table, and we sang Happy Birthday, and then her grandchildren,
her children and her grandchildren
toasted her, and then they asked you, Jimmy Boy, to share, which you did so beautiful. But in life and in family and in faith and with food, what happens, we gather around the table, and it's amalia al dulce. It's the bitter and the sweet. In times as family and in faith, there are bitter moments. It's hard. There's death, there's divorce, there's compromised lifestyles and ways that we do, and we suffer as family members with that. But we still stay together. And I might not agree with your politics or what you're doing or whatever, but I'm with you because you're my family and I love you no matter what. Right. And so there were widows there, people who've lost loved ones who now have to find their life without their spouse for so long. Yeah.
And it's where you say, you know, different lifestyles and so on, but you know, and it's not that you say, well, that's okay, and this is okay. You don't have to compromise. But you know what? I love you because you're you.
Right.
Because you're my cousin, you're my brother, you're my sister. And there are consequences to our actions and our choices. I don't deny that. But I don't love you because you're living like I live. Though I think you should in some areas. Maybe they think that about me. I love you because you're you.
Right.
And that's why we're here. We're totally committed to you. Let's take this email, baby.
It says, my roommate and I tried to start an evening Bible study with some of our friends with little success. However, when we turned it into a weekly potluck dinner, along with the Bible study, it was a big hit. Yeah. What broke college student is going to turn down a meal? So we share our faith, our food, and everyone goes home happy. This is Rachel from East Lansing, Michigan.
Rachel needs to watch the shows on Wednesday and Friday because we're having some guests on that have put together a book called Cooking with the Saints. Cooking with the Saints. And it came out of what you're saying, that it was a get-together in the church, thinking about a little teaching on the saints. Where were these saints from? What was their culture? What was the food they were eating? And they would bring recipes from that part of the world, from all over the world. Learn about the saint, cook, and celebrate a meal together and discuss the saint. And it just really took off within that parish. It was Cooking with the Saints Wednesday and Friday. You're going to want to see that show.
And you know, what happens is some college town parishes, so if you're, what some parishes have done who have a ministry to college students, one of the things that they do is they offer them a meal. And so when I know our daughters would, at one college, they would go, our daughter wasn't even Catholic at the time, and she would go to this Catholic church. And because they were trying to have a ministry, they were trying to evangelize the college kids. And like she said, who's going to turn down a meal in college? So they came in, they had a Bible study, they fed them with food, and then with the great hope that they were going to feed them spiritually.
Joe's on the phone. Joe, your question, your comment, we're glad you're here.
Thank you. Yes, we have, my husband and I have 20 grandchildren.
Praise
Bless you.
Yes, they're wonderful. And always when they're in our home for dinner, no matter whether it's breakfast or a snack almost, we always say grace. And Papa usually leads it, or now that the grandchildren are getting older, he designates someone to do it. But when we're out in a restaurant, and it could be McDonald's or it could be a fancy restaurant, we always also say grace.
Yes.
And some of the children say, well, Papa, we don't do that when we're out with Mom and Dad. Well, when you're with us, you do. And now they don't say that as much anymore, but I think it's given them an appreciation of, obviously what we have. Yes. And also other people in the restaurant will come comment to us how nice it was to see a family pray.
Yes.
And I think we're evangelizing in a way also.
Amen. Joe, that's beautiful. I'd wandered away from the faith for quite some time, and when I came back, I had a personal conversion, came back, I wouldn't say grace before meals, but when I was converted, I said grace, and I was working as a student teacher, and I would bow my head and pray, and I was really nervous about doing that, because you just
it was a public witness.
But it does make a difference whether people like it or not. It makes a difference to you, because that's a part of the interplay with food and family, is that if there's no God, you don't get to eat.
Right.
And that we're stewards of the fruit of the vine, and we're stewards of the animals of the earth, and God's given this to us that we can survive. That's part of the interplay.
Right.
That we're not owners, and we can never make it happen on our own. God has done that, and so we should bow before the Lord to say that everything we have here, is from the Lord, and we give thanks and praise. And we need to teach our children that. They just think this kind of stuff appears.
Right.
And we need to pray for people that raise the food, the agricultural society, and those who are raising all sorts of food.
Right.
Our children just think, well, it just shows up there. Well, no, somebody's doing that, and they plant the seeds, and they're praying over the seeds, and this is all interconnected with the faith and asking God's blessings upon our food so that the community could be fed.
Right.
And all that has spiritual implications.
Well, and praying in public is not like you're being a Pharisee or a Sadducee. What it is acknowledging your witness to God Almighty, who you have no thing apart from God. And part of it is a little test is to say, are you going to acknowledge me before these people who don't even care about you, but your intimate encounter with God alone? That's the one you want. That's the test you want to pass. And so it does take courage and is a boldness, but do it anyway. And we do it with our grandkids too, and say, and you should. We have Izzy on the phone. Izzy, welcome to At Home with Jim and Joy. Your question or your comment?
I already gave it though.
Okay. Well, I didn't hear it.
You want to share it again, quickly?
Okay. My husband and I, we traveled. He was in the service for 22 years. Okay. My husband and I he was in the service for 22 years, so we traveled a lot. For his 87th birthday, he wanted a party, and not knowing if anybody would show up, we sent out 50 invitations, and we got more than 50 people showing up, which was fantastic.
It is
he
fantastic.
Wanted Mexican food and Mexican music, so he had fun.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. And thank you for...
Six months later, he passed away.
Lord have mercy.
It was great to know that he had his party.
Amen.
Yes, that is so beautiful.
Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, and thank you for your service to the nation. And you know, that's part of the interplay between faith and family. Jesus always speaks about the banquet. Get ready for the banquet, the marriage supper of the Lamb, that there will be a banquet, that we will get together, Lord willing, as family and as friends and angels and saints, and we will feast. We will feast upon the Lord. And I think in the new heaven and new earth, I think there's going to be food too. I think it's going to be perfect food. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. So thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing today. And think and ponder more fully and listen for the connection between faith, food, and family. I'm getting hungry. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, do you pray together with your family? You should. Greg and Lisa Popchak provide a few hints on cultivating meaningful family prayer.
Amen.
Praying together as a family at all can seem intimidating.
Most families are happy just to make it happen, much less make it meaningful, but you don't have to be a saint or have perfect kids to have an awesome family prayer time.
First, make family prayer a regular part of your everyday life. Pick a time you're already naturally together, like dinner time or bedtime, and make spending some time with God part of that routine.
Second, remember that family prayer isn't just about saying words at God. It's both about helping your family enter into a real relationship with God and experiencing the Lord as another member of your household.
A really important tip is to teach your kids to talk to God just like they were talking to the person who knows them best and loves them most, because He does.
Regardless of whether you're using formal prayers like the Rosary or taking a more conventional approach, gently encourage everyone to slow down and really think about what they're saying.
And when you're using more formal prayer with little ones, don't forget to discuss what those strange words and phrases like bounty or full of grace or trespasses mean. You can't have a real conversation with someone if you don't know what you're saying.
By remembering that prayer is meant to be an actual conversation with the person who knows you best and loves you most, God, you can make sure your kids learn to pray with their whole heart.
And if you want more ideas for celebrating a meaningful family prayer life, check out our book, Discovering God Together, The Catholic Guide to Raising Faithful Kids.
Greg and Lisa, thank you so much. Excellent teaching, and what a wonderful time we've had together as a family at home with Jim and Joy. What a wonderful faith that beyond words, beyond the teaching of Scripture, that God encounters us in the food that we eat, that He takes the bread, says, "This is my body given for you." He blesses it, says those words. It becomes His body, blood, soul, and divinity. This wine changed into His precious blood. This is my blood shed for you. Isn't it great, the Holy Eucharist, that we're all gathered together here on earth and with those in transition and those in heaven? Eat my body and drink my blood, and you'll have life everlasting. What a great faith. Isn't it wonderful to be Christian? Isn't it grand to be a Catholic? Keep it on EWTN. God bless you and all of your loved ones. Bye now.